to the second video in our two-part series installing Linux Mint on Microsoft Hyper-V. This video is brought to you by noxtt.com, enabling organizations through technology. So this is the second video where we are going to actually perform the installation, and let's just quickly follow our steps. So the first step is to open up Microsoft Hyper-V available on Windows 10. And to do that is very simple. You just type in Hyper-V. It's going to come up Hyper-V Manager, desktop app. And what we want to do first is create our empty external drive. Hard drive on our external drive, because we're doing the installation on an external USB drive. So we're going to first create our empty hard drive, then download the ISO. That is the operating system in ISO format, and then we're going to install the operating system onto our virtual hard drive, and everything will be residing on our external drive so it doesn't take up too much space. So first we create our hard disk, and we're going to choose VHDX. I believe VHD is a more open format. It's not a newer format, it's a more open format. So if someone had Oracle VirtualBox, you could probably give them a copy of your hard drive and they will be able to import it into the Oracle VirtualBox. So we're going to stick with the VHDX. We're going to say next. It's going to be a fixed size. We're going to say next. Let's just give it a quick name. What we're naming here is the virtual hard drive, and we want it stored on our external USB disk or external USB drive. We're going to store it in VM lesson, and we say next. So we're not going to give this a hard drive or hard disk a whole whopping 127 gigs. You can do that if you have probably a terabyte storage. For now, I'm just going to use 50. So this is where you would specify the size of your hard drive. So the size of my hard drive is going to be 50 gigs. So I hit next, and that's it. Now, even though it's just a mere 50 gigs, the actual creation of the hard drive can take some time. This process is somewhat slow. It will vary depending on the computing power of your physical machine. So what we're going to do here is just pause the video and come back when this process is finished. Okay, so we're back, and that virtual hard drive took almost an hour to create. This is our virtual hard drive, and so the next step would be to install our Mint operating system, a 64-bit in ISO format. So you would head over to the Mint website, as I stated, and you're going to download 64-bit version Mate. So we have already done that. So now we're all ready to actually do the operating system installation. So we've downloaded our stable copy of Linux Mint in ISO format. It's a 64-bit, and now we're going to install that operating system on our virtual hard drive. So that process is very simple. Once again, we go new. This time we're going to go virtual machine. Before we created the hard drive, hard disk. Now we're going to create a virtual machine. We say next. Let's just name this anything. It could be a test machine, and we want to store it not on our C drive. If you did this, this would say your C drive, but we have our, we're going to store it right here, VM lesson folder on our external hard drive. Then we say next. There's generation 1, generation 2. Anyone would work fine. Sometimes I do generation 2. I'll stick with generation 1 this time. And we are going to assign the necessary RAM. We're going to give it 30 gigs. So this is how much RAM you have. Obviously, this is going to change based on how much RAM your physical system has. So my physical system has 8 gigs. So I can share 3 gigs. That's okay. And I'm going to check the use dynamic memory for virtual machine. We hit next. It says not connected, but we want this virtual machine to be connected to the internet. So we're going to hit default switch. And on this interface, we're not going to say create a virtual hard disk. We already created that before. So we're just going to say use virtual hard disk. We already have our virtual hard disk set up. And then we say next. And that's basically it. There's some things we have to make sure. So we've created our virtual machine. We have to add the ISO as a CD-ROM disk or a CD, virtual CD. And we also have to take off the automated snapshots or checkpoints. So we right mouse click on our machine we just created and we go to settings. And in the DVD drive, we're going to specify our image file. Right now, none is specified. So this is going to act as our virtual CD-ROM, as if it were. And in that virtual CD-ROM, we're putting in the 64-bit Mint ISO. So it's going to be the equivalent of a CD installation CD. And then for checkpoints, we're going to say use automatic checkpoints. No, we don't want automatic checkpoints. So we apply. We say OK. Let's just connect to this machine. This is the interface that will give you access to the machine. Let's go media, DVD drive. We see our ISO file format is there. So we can safely boot up. When booting up Linux Mint for the first time, you will have access to the operating system. This is a very nice feature. What it means is that when installing on a real laptop or a real machine, you can test out various things. You can test to see that your internet is working. You can probably go on a website on YouTube to make sure that your sound card is working. Connect to our Wi-Fi, make sure that your Wi-Fi is working and all that. In a few minutes, as soon as it boots up, I'll be able to clarify what I meant by the default resolution and why it needs to be adjusted. So as Linux boots up here, I'm just going to expand this. Well, it's probably expanded already, but it's not maximized. So this right here is the default size of your virtual machine. And this is going to be a lot smaller than most monitors. So this is going to be insufficient. So let's say I maximize this, the window. And you can see the interface, the operating system interface does not maximize. It's still small. So this is definitely a lot smaller than my monitor. And it is the reason why we have to adjust the resolution. So let's just double click on install Linux Mint. Before we do that, as I said, you can always check to make sure everything is working fine. So I'm clicking on Firefox just to make sure we can access the internet. Naturally, it goes straight to the Linux Mint community forum website. So we know that everything is working with respect to the internet. You can check other things if you're doing a live installation on a real hardware. So I'm going to double click the CD icon, and this is going to start the installation. So naturally, English. The run through here is very basic. Anyone who has ever installed an operating system, it's pretty much the same thing. Yes, we want third-party software. That's going to help us with drivers and any other software that we need to get Linux Mint up and running. I may or may not pause the video. This process, sometimes it may take long. So the disk is empty, but it says erase this just in case it has information on it. So we're gonna choose that option. This option says encrypt the new Linux Mint installation for security. If you were doing an installation on a real system, your laptop, your desktop, etc., you would encrypt your hard drive with this feature. But we're not going to do that, we're just doing a basic installation. So we'll click install now. Just hit continue. And everything here from this point on is just you're going to copy some files across, then we're going to install some files. If we reach an important juncture, I will unpause the video and highlight the important feature. So for instance, Linux Mint does not assume that your keyboard will work with the operating system. You could actually put the cursor in here and start to type anything to ensure that your keyboard is working just fine. So we'll just give it a generic name. Remember, this is your username. Don't forget your username. We'll put a generic password. This is a virtual system, so we're not hard pressed for proper security. Require password and login. We say continue. We're not going to encrypt our home folder. We'll just leave it as it is. And so at this point, again, I'll just do a quick pause until all the files have copied across and the installation is complete. Okay, so picking up from where we left off, the installation is now complete. And at this point, you can restart the system. However, whenever you do that, sometimes a lot of error messages come up and it can take really long to shut down. So even though in the real world, on a real virtual server, this particular method is not advised, I would just hit continue testing. And as soon as that clears up, I would come up here and then I would do what is known as a hard shutdown. So I wouldn't say shutdown, I actually say turn off. And it's, are you sure you want to turn this off? This is the equivalent of pressing the power button, and I'll just say turn off. And I close it off. Then I come back into the virtual machine. I would hit connect. I would ensure that my media is no longer there. It's still there, so I have to take that out. So I right mouse click, go to settings, because if it boots with that inside the ISO, it's going to start over the installation. So I say none, apply. Let me make sure my checkpoints is still not automatic. So we have no ISO in our DVD-ROM drive, no checkpoints. We say OK. Now we'll say connect. We could have started the system from there, and we hit start. Now this machine is going to boot up with the operating system installed. So you now have a 64-bit Linux Mint Mate operating system running on your Microsoft Hyper-V. That is all on an external drive. We just have one more thing to do, and that is to adjust the screen resolution. And according to our file, we're going to create a checkpoint, but I guess we're going to change the resolution first. So once we're finished editing the grub file using VI, then we'll create the checkpoint, and then that's basically it from there. You can go to the forums, join the Linux Mint forums where you can ask your questions, etc., etc. This is the site that gives more information on changing the default screen size, and then this site here gives you some very, very good information and gets you started with what is known as VI commands in Linux. So the operating system has booted up. Let's log in. And as you can see, if I maximize the window, there's still a lot of space here. Tremendous space around the system, and this is not what we want. We want the operating system to look and feel as if we're using a real system. So we're going to run the command we open up the command prompt by hitting this icon here, and then we're going to run the command sudo vi etc default grub. Every time you run this command, it's going to ask you for the password. This is the same password you used to log in. So this is, I'm in VI, and we're going to hit J just to go down to the line we're looking for. And the line we're looking for is this one right here that says grub cmd line Linux default quiet splash. So we're going to use our arrow key. So I hit J to come down to the line I'm looking for. Then I'm using the right arrow key to go across until I'm over the double quotes. From here I hit escape again, and then I hit I to insert. These are VI commands. So I hit the space bar and I'm going to type up the following. Let me just make sure I have it typed out here. Make sure I'm typing in the correct thing. So we're going to type in video equals, okay. So it's video equals Hyper-V underscore FB colon, and here's where you put your resolution. I'm going to use 1920 by 1080. That X there is literally X. The by is the X on the keyboard. So this is everything I want. Video equals Hyper-V underscore, or it's supposed to be FB, not FG. So I'm going to hit escape again, and then I'm going to go back with my left arrow key, hit escape, press I for insert mode, and I'm going to insert B. I'm hovering over the G, so I can delete that, but I have to be in the right command to do that. So I hit escape again, then I just simply press the delete key, or I'll go over G and then hit the delete key. So that is the text I want. Video equals Hyper-V underscore FB full colon 1920 by 1080. So I want to save these edits, so I hit escape, then shift full colon, and then WQ, right quit to come out. So once that is done, I believe I have to restart grub. You can follow along with this website. See, it says there sudo update grub. So this website has given me all the information. I have that link right here. So I'm getting all this information from this link right here. So I have to update grub, sudo update grub. So let's just run that. And from here we hit enter. Now what we do is we simply reboot. And now I wouldn't do a hard reboot, I would do it right here. So I go quit, and I say restart. The restart shouldn't take too long. This should usually be very quick. So we've created our virtual disk or hard drive. Then we downloaded our ISO 64-bit Linux Mint Mate. Then we installed Linux Mint Mate onto our virtual hard drive. That everything is on an external drive, so it's not occupying your PC or your computer hard drive. And now what we have done is changed the resolution of the Linux operating system to match our monitor. So you see now it's taking up the entire monitor. It's no longer very small. This is what we want, and you can sign in as normal. So that is why we had to change the resolution. So now that the resolution has changed and everything is good, we have one more step to do. And you can do this while the system is running or if it's shut down. We're going to create a checkpoint or a restore point. So we're going to right mouse click on our virtual machine and we say checkpoint. And if you look good, you'll see Hyper-V is creating this checkpoint. Sometimes this may take a bit. Sometimes it runs really fast. But the purpose of this is when this checkpoint is finished, you can then go into your system and do almost anything you want with it without any fear of breaking the operating system. Even if you catch a virus and it's not working properly, all you have to do is when you come right here, you just select right mouse click, where it says now, and you're going to revert to checkpoint. So this checkpoint here is now registered. And to apply it, you can either select it in this window and you hit apply, or if you select the machine, you can say revert to checkpoint, which will be this point. So when you revert to checkpoint, the state the machine is in right now, it's going to be in that exact same state. A clean install, a fresh install of Linux Mint with the resolution adjusted. So let's just shut down. So that basically covers it. We've created our checkpoint. If you want, you can join the Linux community. linuxmint.com/ this is the download. The community is forums.linuxmint.com. This is a great resource for more information. So you can join this forum, ask your questions. This is a page that will get you going with some basic VI commands to edit important documents or configuration files in Linux. And as before, this is the download page where you can get your ISOs. So I believe that covered it. That's it for this tutorial. We installed Linux Mint using Microsoft Hyper-V. We created a virtual Linux Mint machine on an external USB drive. Very nifty thing to do, and now you can experiment and play all you like with Linux. So that's it for this video. I hope you found it informative. I'd like to thank you for viewing.